Looks very bad for you, I'm afraid.
Yes, doctor?
Your temperature is completely normal. You can do your show as usual.
Well, viewers, it was worth a try. Well, on we go with this morning's Gazzetta then. Oh. Come on, you as well. Well, funny thing is, even if a sticky hot water bottle down your trousers can't be relied on to raise your temperature, this morning's show probably can. Let's find out why now with Ken.
Week 16 of the season produced some dramatic finishes and saw the departure from Italy of one of Milan's most famous faces. James meets up with another Rossoneri legend, Paolo Maldini. And you can see him in action against Inter as we round up this week's Coppa Italia quarter-finals. In the news, there are some dodgy Rolexes doing the rounds in Italy, and a Hollywood star pops into the San Siro. And you could be on your way to Italy in our December Goal of the Month competition.
Thank you, Kenneth. Well, this damp weather won't be doing me too much good at all. Thank you. Right, off we go then with what looks like being a fairly whirlwind tour of the week's events this morning, and it all begins with the latest from the league. The top of the table looking a little bit muddled last Sunday morning, like the best of us really. Juventus had snatched a one-point lead back from Lazio, with Parma, who were down in third place, just 2 points behind themselves. Further down the table, Roma, Milan and Inter were the other three teams still with a realistic shot at the title, but all three needed to pick up the pace a little. Well, on Sunday then, whilst Lazio celebrated their centenary with a home match against Bologna, and Roma and Milan faced each other on Sunday night, the biggest fixture of the day was undoubtedly Parma's game with Juventus, and that's thus where we start this morning. Commentary from the Tardini Stadium from Gary Bloom and Trevor Stephen.
Donada. Zidane. Cannavaro with the challenge. Inzaghi. He really should have scored there. He was clean through on goal. Lovely ball in towards Inzaghi. Poor ball by Del Piero back to Zinedine, or rather back to Inzaghi. Zambrotta, great save by Buffon. Zambrotta really got hold of that shot, and Buffon had to be at his best to keep it out. Teresi right through the back of Del Piero. Inzaghi's through. The referee allowed the advantage, but there was no great advantage, and Inzaghi had that rather weak shot.
Yeah, weak finish, excellently made.
And we've reached the three-quarter point of the game. There's still no goals, of those is Zidane. Zambrotta, Inzaghi, is that a penalty? Surely that's a penalty kick for the foul by Teresi on Inzaghi. And at last, all Inzaghi's claims have been heard by the referee, Stefano Farina.
It was a wonderful, wonderful move from Juventus. Started on that halfway line. Del Piero and Zidane involved. Ball out to Zidane and in from Zambrotta. And it was as clumsy as anything, really, from Teresi.
And with Teresi receiving treatment here, he's also receiving a red card. And Parma, who've conceded a penalty, are down to 10 men. It's a double blow for Parma. Teresi's off. And it's Alex Del Piero to take the penalty. His two previous Serie A goals this season have both come from the spot. Is it going to be number 3? Del Piero and 1-0 to Juve. The league leaders take the lead. And at last, all their attacking play and dominance of midfield is crowned with a goal. Remember, Parma have won 9 of their last 11 league games. Is this to be defeat for them today? Del Piero, Pessotto, Inzaghi! Oh, they've created enough chances to have won this game 2 or 3 times over.
Well, that one was created probably more by luck than judgment.
Amoroso, oh! Good job Van der Sar didn't try to make contact with him. Could have had another penalty. Zambrotta. And Dino Baggio's been sent off. And incredibly, Parma are down to 9 men. It was difficult enough for them with just 10 men on the field. But now with Dino Baggio sent off, it seems impossible. There's Zinedine Zidane. He's deserved a goal. Del Piero. Oh, and Inzaghi at last has found the net. But it's been ruled out for offside.
Well, that would have been the icing on the cake, but as we can see there, Del Piero just moving into an offside position as Zidane strikes.
And here's Vellum. Oh, that's a great ball. Crespo. Still Crespo. Oh, he's equalised! 9 men Parma have come back right at the death to equalise against the league leaders. What a comeback, what a story, and what a goal from Hernan Crespo.
Well, you just couldn't have written that one, could you? As you said, it was a superb ball from Vellum through to Crespo, but he had it all to do, and what a comeback. And that's why that man is top scorer in Serie A this season so far.
Well, all square then at the Tardini Stadium. 9-man Parma get out of jail thanks to burning Mr. Hernan. Elsewhere, though, it was bad news for the club, as it now turns out Stefano Torrisi, the defender, is out for the season, having torn the cruciate ligaments in his left knee. Now, meanwhile, the other man sent off on Sunday, Dino Baggio, is, of course, in big trouble after spitting at the referee and miming, "How much did they pay you?" Not only is a lengthy ban now awaiting him in the league, but also Dino Zoff, which is a fair description of Baggio on Sunday, come to think of it, has been instructed not to call the Parma midfielder up for Italy's next international. He must be spitting. Well, anyway, back to Sunday's games now, and next up is Lazio, who, as we mentioned, were at home to Bologna on a day of rare emotion for them, and not just because we sent our very own Karin Giannone along. Karin?
Thank you, James. Yes, 100 years to the day after the idea to form the sporting club now known as SS Lazio first dawned on its creators in this very square, a mass of dedicated followers of the Biancocelesti gathered to watch the unveiling of a commemorative plaque.
Well, they're saying about 15,000 enthusiastic fans have got up extra early this morning to join the procession all the way from the River Tiber, Piazza della Libertà, right across the city to the stadium, where shortly Lazio will be playing their first home game of the new millennium against Bologna. And what an atmosphere there promises to be.
And with 70,000 Laziali at the Stadio Olimpico, the celebrations continued. But Bologna were determined to spoil the party. Beppe Signori, who spent 5 hugely successful years at Lazio, came so close to an opening goal for the visitors. Eriksson looked a worried man, and with good reason. His players again struggled to show the kind of form which had taken them to the top of Serie A before Christmas. Lazio even failed to take the lead via a penalty after Sergio Conceição was brought down. Sinisa Mihailovic slipped as he struck the spot kick. Still, the home end erupted 3 minutes before the interval. That's when Marcelo Salas hit the target after Nedved's initial effort had come back off the crossbar, and Lazio's fans finally had something to shout about.
Well, after one missed penalty, it was only a matter of time before Lazio scored, and what a 100th birthday present coming just before half-time. But it's hard not to feel sorry for the poor 200 or so Bologna fans who actually braved coming here today.
However, their team started the second half with a flourish. After coming within a whisker of equalising for the visitors, Signori supplied a pinpoint cross for Kenneth Andersson. The Swedes struck for the second time in 2 games. But Lazio regained their advantage with 14 minutes left to play. It was only fitting that man of the match Pavel Nedved should get his name on the score sheet. The Czech international had mixed fortunes, though. He was sent off shortly afterwards after receiving his second caution of the game. Still, after Michele Paramatti's dismissal also reduced Bologna to 10 men, Lazio did end this special game on a high note. They made sure of claiming maximum points by scoring again in stoppage time. Fabrizio Ravanelli, who'd come on as a substitute, marked his home debut with a goal to make the final score 3-1.
Well, what a day for Lazio. Not only has it been their 100th anniversary celebrations, but now they go top of the table, putting Juventus into second place. And it looks like the celebrations are going to be continuing late into tonight. Let's see how City rivals Roma got on against Milan. For that, it's over to Peter Brackley for the commentary.
Helveg, then Bierhoff. Swept up by De Cetus, but he's given it away. That was Totti, and Montella has beaten the offside trap. Terrific run here from Montella. Rossi is stranded. Oh, it's back off the post. But Del Vecchio to follow up and score. Marco Del Vecchio for Roma. It's his 7th Serie A goal of the season, but it owes so much to the awareness and persistence there of Vincenzo Montella. De Cetus away from Totti. Now Maldini finding Gulli, the Argentine. Bierhoff is far post. This is Bierhoff, and that's the equaliser. Another trademark headed goal from Oliver Bierhoff. That's 8 for him now in Serie A, and 4 goals in his last 5 league games. Helveg. Now Totti, oh, he was clattered then by Sala, who went right through the back of him. Really was an awful challenge from the Milan defender. Oh, Montella now suddenly breaking through and scoring too. Roma are back in front. Montella, with his 9th in Serie A this season, is 12th now in all competitions after he had evaded the offside trap. Milan looking in vain towards the referee's assistant. There was no flag, and Montella has taken full advantage. One-on-one, you always fancy him in this kind of situation. Sebastiano Rossi, who's covering for flu victim Christian Abbiati, left floundering there by the finishing of Montella. Now Jose Marie is on, Shevchenko going off. This is the £13 million man from Atletico Madrid, making his home debut. He came on in midweek at Piacenza. Gulli. Maldini's off on a run, and he has forced a corner for his team. Shevchenko taking no further part in the game, as Milan fans get their first glimpse of Jose Marie. Boban. Oh, there is Jose Marie, and he scored! What an entrance! Midway through the second half, it's 2-2. He's only been on the field a matter of seconds. Definitely flicking it beyond the goalkeeper. Jose Marie, welcome to Serie A.
Well, fantastic stuff there from Milan's new arrival, Jose Marie. No relation to Tina, apparently, but still a big hit with the fans. Well, time now on Gazzetta for us to take a quick break from the action as we salute a man who actually left Milan this week. I refer, of course, to George Weah, who in 4.5 seasons with the Rossoneri won 2 Scudettos, became World Player of the Year, and scored, let's not forget, one of the greatest goals in Milan's history.
Rossi staying back on his line. Great control from George Weah. He's having to go it alone for the moment, and he's doing pretty well. Still Weah. Terrific run here. Now, can he finish? What a goal! Oh! David Beckham, eat your heart out.
unforgettable stuff there 3 years back. Well, the 33-year-old Weah has moved on this week on loan to Chelsea, and as he demonstrated in his very first game for his new club, the Liberian goalmeister hasn't lost his touch. At Milan, puzzlingly, over the last 2 years, he'd been given an increasingly marginal role, and thus with Bierhoff virtually immovable up front, and the likes of Shevchenko and now Jose Marie too coming in, a move had thus looked inevitable for him. It's sad, though, that after almost 5 years raising spirits on and off the field in Milan, the hugely popular Weah doesn't leave on the best of terms.
It's, in a sense, it's very sad after 5 years and all the good things I did in Milan, in Italy, and the way I've been treated for me is not fair. But that's the situation. If you are not needed, you have to find a better situation.
You wanted to go to Roma. There was a lot of talk of you talking to Capello. Why are you going to Chelsea?
No, because Milan refused. They said they would never send me to any Italian club, no matter what I do. And I don't want to bring any problem, you know, because sports, soccer is something you should enjoy it, not to make war. So they refused for me to go to Rome. I think it was not fair, you know, for everything I've done for Milan and everything I did. It was not fair how they treated me. But and Vialli came, said that he interested in me, I should come. So I spoke to him, and also myself, but my family prefer England. So I spoke to Vialli and also Desai, and they want me to come to London. And I decided to leave to go to London. Nothing lasts forever, you know. Nothing lasts forever, but I expect that, you know, a good atmosphere in a better way. But the way things are now and the way things went, for me, it was not pleasant, because it's like there was no respect for me, and you know, they doesn't care what I do after or what I want to do. Right. They only want me to do what they want to do. You understand? And I think it's not fair. But as a sportsman, because I have a good image, I don't want to create any problems, you know, so I just let it go.
Okay, and what's the thing you're most looking forward to in London?
Well, what I'm looking for is that go to London and do my best, you know, if I can, and I want to do my best because I don't have nothing to prove to Italian people that what I'm leaving. But I love sports and I want to go and play. But I hope I go to London and perform very well for Chelsea, because they came to my rescue, and I have to go there and do my best. So that's all I'm hoping for now, because we never know life, because the future we never know. Things may turn out bad, things may turn out good, but I hope for the good, you know.
Well, what a splendid chap. As mentioned before, George is already off to an excellent start at his new club, so well done to him, well done to Chelsea, who finally signed a player who can actually speak English, and commiserations, really, to the fans here in Italy, who are certainly going to miss him. Well, that brings us to the end of part one of this morning's Gazzetta, but make sure you stay tuned, as very shortly we'll be right back with a left-back, and perhaps the best one in the world. I refer to Paolo Maldini, who very shortly will be giving us an exclusive Gazzetta interview right after this break. Welcome back, everyone, to Gazzetta. Right, time now, as promised, here at Milanello, Milan's training ground, for the world's greatest left-back, Paolo Maldini, a man whose coverage is every bit as tight as a Beckham thong, and most of the times equally silky. Well, since it's been a fair while now since we've had a Saturday morning chat with Maldini, today we present for you a special two-part Paolo Powwow.
Tanti anni fa eravamo seduti più in là e dicevi che volevi vincere tutto ciò che c'è da vincere. Come sta andando il conto?
Il conto direi che è buono. È buono perché comunque ho avuto una carriera piena di successi, soprattutto nel mio club. Ho vinto 6 scudetti, varie coppe, e di conseguenza è un bottino che probabilmente quando ho iniziato a giocare non pensavo minimamente di raggiungere. Probabilmente mi manca ancora qualcosina con la nazionale, quello sì. e visto che poi il tempo passa, credo di avere una delle ultime occasioni a giugno, poi dopo sarà dura, insomma.
Veramente? Però al prossimo mondiale, avresti 33
34.
o 34? Vabbè. Più o meno alla mia età, io mi sentirei in grado.
Sì, tu magari vai, però il mio problema è un altro, poi dipende poi, non dipende poi sempre da te, nel senso che possono succedere tante cose, cambia allenatore, ci viene un allenatore che magari tu non gli piace, oppure tu hai un infortunio, sai, le varianti sono tante in questo mondo.
Da fuori era drammatico l'anno scorso, questo rincorso per il titolo arrivando finalmente in testa l'ultima domenica
Sì,
penultima
penultima, sì.
Wow, sì. Bellissimo come esperienza per
film,
voi.
insomma.
Sembrava
sì. Un film scritto, sì.
Come lo metteresti nei vari scudetti che hai vinto?
È stato uno dei più belli,
sì.
senza dubbio, sì, perché le aspettative non erano enormi, le 2 annate precedenti erano brutte, nessuno ci dava tra le favorite e c'era la tendenza comunque a sottovalutare quello che potevamo fare. Effettivamente abbiamo avuto delle difficoltà, ma siamo stati tutti uniti, siamo andati tutti per la nostra strada. E poi quando bisognava vincere le ultime 7 partite per sperare, nessuno credeva che lo potessimo fare, invece è una cosa molto strana, molto particolare.
Ok, quest'anno però, non so se possiamo vedere un remake di questo film.
Noi abbiamo avuto un brutto inizio, però nel campionato siamo sempre rimasti lì. L'inizio soprattutto in Coppa è stato non bello. Abbiamo sprecato delle occasioni e poi insomma essere eliminati al primo turno in Coppa Campioni non è da una squadra grande.
Non si aspettava.
Diciamo che non siamo partiti nella maniera giusta, poi molte volte non riesci a fare bene in campionato quando non vai bene in Coppa Campioni e viceversa.
Tu invece hai giocato molto bene, come sempre, pure con il, come si dice, il mignolo? Mignolo. Il mignolo rotto?
Rotto, sì.
Per 3 mesi?
Sì, rotto l'ho rotto una volta, però purtroppo per giocare subito ho iniziato a fare anestetico, ma la cosa peggiorava. Fino a quando ho avuto la possibilità di fermarmi per 15-20 giorni.
Sì, dopo 3 mesi
Ed è stato dopo 3 mesi di tortura, perché poi dopo sembra strano, ma un pezzo così piccolo del tuo corpo che ti possa fare così tanto male.
Beh, succede a volte.
Sì, per il calciatore poi sai che la scarpa è molto stretta.
Sì.
E me l'avevano detto, no? Perché mi ho detto guarda che ti farà male per parecchio tempo, però sai, ti dicono anche tante cose, poi fin quando non le provi non sai se sono vere o no, effettivamente è stata una cosa abbastanza fastidiosa.
Un'azione eroica?
No, eroica sono altre cose.
Ma ti allenavi senza scarpe?
Non mi allenavo.
Non ti allenavi?
Mi allenavo pochissimo, sì.
Wow.
Sì.
Stirring stuff. Well, that's where we'll leave Paolo for now, but rest assured that old Blue Eyes will be back later on in today's show when he'll be explaining what it was like playing for his pop and also revealing the truth about his days as a rap DJ. Make sure you stay tuned for that then. Right now, though, it's time to catch up on the Coppa Italia, in which, amongst other things this week, Milan were facing their arch-rivals and neighbours Inter as the competition reached the quarter-final stage. Let's join Kenneth Wolstenholme.
It was Inter who drew first blood in this eventful game. Just before the half-hour mark, Christian Vieri claimed his 11th goal of the season. But Inter surrendered their lead a minute before the interval. Andrei Shevchenko pounced from close range to make it 1-1. Soon after the restart, Lippi's side regained their lead. Their new Romanian striker, Adrian Motu, opened his account in Italian football. However, within 2 minutes, Milan drew level for a second time when Shevchenko sprung Inter's offside trap to claim his second of the match. Still, it was Inter who eventually came out on top. Clarence Seedorf saw to that with a breathtaking free kick to make the final score 3-2. Elsewhere, Venezia's game with Fiorentina was postponed until next week, and Lazio trail Juventus by just a single goal after coming back from 3-0 down. Cagliari caused the biggest upset, though, beating Roma in the capital. And now it's back to last Sunday's league action, starting with Cagliari at home to Piacenza. Here's Peter Brackley.
After a goalless first half, the Sardinians finally managed to win their first league game this season at the 16th attempt. The home team opened the scoring 3 minutes after the break, thanks to a mazy run from Jason Maiele. He then released Luis Oliveira, who produced an emphatic finish to beat Flavio Roma in Piacenza's goal. When Piacenza had Galtieri sent off in stoppage time, it really was game over for the visitors. Cagliari managed to score 2 more goals in quick succession to seal a 3-0 win. Much to the delight of his club president, Patrick Mboma managed to hit the target in Serie A for the first time since November. Just before the final whistle, the Cameroon international claimed another goal, his 6th of the league campaign. And Cagliari could finally celebrate a Serie A victory, although it did come against a side lying immediately above them at the foot of the table. Torino failed to halt their alarming slide against Lecce, who managed to secure their first away win of the season. A goal-line clearance from Mauro Bonomi denied Sesa here. Meanwhile, Torino's lack of firepower prompted their disgruntled fans to request a new forward, which was perhaps harsh on Marco Ferrante, who was so prolific during their promotion campaign. He couldn't have come much closer to giving the home side the lead shortly after the interval. Sadly for Torino, it was Lecce who went in front. Their goal arrived midway through the second half. Cristiano Lucarelli's effort was impressive enough, but Luca Bucci's feeble attempt to keep the ball out certainly didn't help his team's cause. Torino did go back on level terms when they were awarded a penalty just 9 minutes from time. Still, even though Ferrante comfortably scored, Mondonico's struggling side managed to press the self-destruct button yet again right at the death. They'd lost at Regina 3 days earlier by conceding a goal in stoppage time, and they did so again here. Torino's defenders just didn't get tight enough on Lucarelli, who claimed his 2nd of the game. Lecce's first Serie A win away to Torino was also their first success on the road then this season, hence these jubilant scenes at the end. These two teams started the day level on points immediately above the relegation zone. It was no surprise then to find there was little to choose between them. After Adelton's near miss, Mohamed Kallon squandered a glorious chance at the other end for Regina. Still, the away side did find the target before the break, and in bizarre circumstances. In the old days, this would certainly have gone down as an own goal, but it was credited to Andrea Pirlo. The ball clearly went in off Sebastian Frey. Verona had opportunities to draw level before half-time through both Filippini and Adelton. They eventually found an equaliser with just 14 minutes to go, and it came via the penalty spot. Ezio Brevi wasn't just harshly penalised for bringing down Franceschetti, he was also sent off. Regina felt the Verona defender played for the penalty, which Adelton converted. The young Brazilian made it 5 goals in as many games for him. At the death, the width of an upright denied Salvetti a winner for the home side, and it ended all square, a result which more than pleased Verona's coach, Claudio Prandelli.
There'll be the rest of last weekend's action in part 3, but now there's another chance for you to win an Alitalia Italia Tour trip for 2 to a top Italian game. Just choose your favourite from these 5 goals. So a reminder of those 5 goals. Choose your favourite and give us a call on 0901 404 40 44. First prize is a trip for 2 to a Coppa Italia game. Second prize is a pair of replica 1960s Italy shirts. And 10 runners-up will win a year's subscription to Football Italia magazine. Well, that's it for part 2, but after the break, James looks through the week's papers, there's the rest of the goals from week 16, and we hear more from Paolo.
Welcome back, everybody, to Gazzetta. Right, coming up in part 3, we've got the remaining games from last weekend in Serie A, plus all of the week's news too. Before any of that, though, as you can see, we're still here at Milanello for the second part of our meeting with a man who's harder to get past than a French lorry driver, Paolo Maldini. Over then straight away to our top young reporter on the spot.
Senti, per alcuni anni facevi il DJ, il disc jockey, su Radio 105. Solo un anno?
2 anni, non mi ricordo.
Hanno fatto sì, comunque 2 anni.
Sì.
Genere di musica rap?
Sì.
Riuscivi a capire le parole dei dischi?
Anche la musica, magari cercare di capire, no?
Sì.
Cosa dice, a parte che è difficilissimo perché parlano uno slang.
Sì. No, è meglio non imparare.
È meglio non imparare,
sì.
Infatti molte volte puoi mettere dei dischi perché sai che il 95% delle persone non sanno quello che dicono, no?
Sì.
Se no diventa anche abbastanza pesante magari.
Tuo padre come sta?
Sta bene?
Sì?
Sì, sì. Lavora per il Milano, sai?
Sì, come osservatore, no? Dovrà essere stato, no, anzi, sicuramente è stato un po' difficile, un po' strano avere proprio tuo padre come CT.
Sicuramente strano, sì.
Sì.
Strano, particolare. Poi in un mondiale anche dove... Sai, in Italia diciamo che sono abbastanza abituati, no, al rapporto tra me e mio padre, magari invece andando in una competizione come il mondiale può essere una cosa, è una cosa comunque particolare, perché tutte le domande erano su quello. Poi io capitano, lui allenatore, cioè faceva un po' ridere, però.
Sì. La cosa più bella di avere il padre CT? C'era?
Beh, sai, se fossimo riusciti a vincere qualcosa magari sarebbe stato un trionfo familiare, oltre che nazionale.
La cosa più negativa?
Sai, le critiche sono doppie, nel senso che mia madre, mettiti in esempio mia madre che aveva figlio e marito sulla stessa barca, poteva essere anche abbastanza dura, no? Se le cose non andavano bene.
Sì, che non sono andate bene.
Non sono andate benissimo come volevamo, però neanche così male, mi sembra. Però potevano andare meglio, senza dubbio.
È un fatto tipico del calcio moderno che tu sia più o meno il terzino migliore del mondo, però in Italia non giochi in quelle posizioni.
Sì, è strano, però il calciatore è fatto anche per adattarsi, perché piuttosto che, diciamo, che rinunciare a qualcosa tipo nazionale, uno credo che si debba comunque adattare, visto che poi mi devo adattare in un ruolo che ho fatto per 15 anni, non credo che sia un grosso problema.
No, però non lo so, vedendo magari, per esempio quel gol che hai fatto contro il Wales, il Galles, quando un anno fa più o meno, da terzino, spiace non vederti giocare
Anche a me un po',
Sì.
Diciamo che a me quello che mi manca, no? In questo momento è proprio l'avvicinarsi all'area avversaria, no? Che ci arriva un pochino un pochino meno frequentemente, perché comunque è bello fare gol, anche se sei difensore, il gol è bello.
E che farai dopo il calcio? Tra, non so, 8 anni?
Sinceramente non lo so.
No.
Non so.
Mai pensato?
No, ci ho pensato, però non sono ancora riuscito a trovare la soluzione. Allenatore no, però. No.
Dirigente probabilmente nemmeno?
Dipende quello che poi ti offrono.
CT della nazionale?
No, allenatore no, ho detto.
Ok, ma è un po' diverso, comunque sì.
No, è uguale. Forse una cosa completamente al di fuori, forse una cosa nel calcio, ma non allenatore.
Beh, aspettiamo con ansia.
Aspettiamo, anche io devo aspettare però.
Vabbè.
Okay. Well, clearly there's no rush for Maldini, given that 15 years on, broken toe or not, he continues to perform at absolutely world-class levels. Our thanks to Milan's captain for joining us in this morning's show, and particularly loquacious form he was in this week as well. Time now, anyway, for me to head off to prepare to handle our weekly hurtle through the week's headlines. And while I do that, let's rejoin the Serie A action from last weekend. The 3 remaining games coming up now, starting off with Inter away to Fiorentina last Sunday night. And your commentator here, Gary Bloom.
It's Chiesa. Turns Frazee. Oh, Batistuta makes it 1-0. But what a mistake by Peruzzi. Peruzzi completely lost the flight of the ball. It was a schoolboy error by the Inter goalkeeper. And Batistuta heads it into an unguarded net. So Zanetti comes off to be replaced by Recoba, who scored 4 goals in his last 7 league appearances. Still can't find a regular place in Lippi's team. Zamorano, this is Koe. Seedorf. And the whistle has gone, free kick now to Inter, with 20 minutes to go. Rather obvious push there by Rosito. Toldo has his angles covered, or so he thinks. Recoba. Oh, it's gone in! Recoba equalises just 4 minutes after coming on as a substitute. What a splendid strike by Recoba. And he succeeds where Vieri's failed. Toldo's wrong-footed. And it's 1-1. Inter looking for the knockout punch. Yorgatos. Vieri, under pressure from Retka. Oh, there's a bit of a tangle between the two. There's a bit of bad blood between the two as well, and there's a red card coming Redka's way. Redka's sent off for Fiorentina. What's going to happen to Vieri? The Czech Republic international has been dismissed. And it's a similar story for Christian Vieri. Late burst here by Fiorentina. It comes off Yorgatos. That's surely going to be a corner. And Batistuta in a real hurry to get on with the game. One last throw of the dice for Fiorentina. They have a corner. Here's Adani. It's got in! Adani scored the winner on 91 minutes. Delight and relief for Fiorentina. And Adani, who's only playing tonight because of Aldo Ferricano's absence through suspension, scores an unlikely winner for the home side. And once again, Inter concede a late goal, and this time it costs them the game.
Thanks to goals from Maurizio Gatz and Pippo Maniero, Venezia recorded a precious win against Lazio in their previous game. But their new strike partnership failed to produce the goods in this one, and it was Bari who claimed maximum points. Perotta opened the scoring. To be fair, Venezia did have their moments. Gatz was denied by Franco Mancini, who had an inspired afternoon in Bari's goal. In the second half, Valtellina was kept out by the home side's keeper, as was Mancini's former Bari teammate, Sergio Volpi. At the other end, 17-year-old Antonio Cassano failed to add to the goals that he'd claimed in his previous 2 matches. Instead, it was another teenager who took centre stage late on. Hugo Enenaya had also scored in Bari's last home game against Inter. A foul on the 18-year-old Nigerian enabled Daniel Anderson to complete the scoring from the spot. It ended 3-0 to a flourishing Bari side, who've now won 3 in a row here, due mainly to the efforts of their exciting teenage forwards. After losing 5-0 against Inter 3 days earlier, Perugia coach Carlo Mazzoni was hoping for a positive response from his players. Sadly for him, after a bright start, they went down to another humiliating defeat. Andrea Sottil got the ball rolling for Udinese with a goal just 13 minutes in. The visitors soon established a 2-0 lead. Alessandro Calori, who enjoyed 8 years in Udine, seemed to forget which side he was playing for. After Calori's own goal, Luigi Di Canio's side struck on 2 more occasions, as Udinese went into the half-time break 4-0 ahead. Their third goal arrived courtesy of Thomas Manfredini. The 19-year-old defender claimed his first goal in Italy's top division. It was then Stefano Fiori's turn to hit the target. Perugia had never previously lost a Serie A game here by more than a 2-goal margin. They went on to lose 5-0 and for the second consecutive game. Udinese equalled their best ever away victory in the top flight, which they secured in the early 80s against Genoa. The legendary Zico made his Serie A debut that day and claimed 2 goals. Jorgensen had the honour of scoring Udinese's 5th in this match. Perugia failed to take chances which could have brought some respectability to the scoreline. Carlo Mazzoni later said he'd never felt so humiliated, and with Juventus up next, it really doesn't bode well for the Biancorossi.
Well, that 5-goal thriller brings us to the end then of round 16 of the season. Very shortly, Ken will be taking us through the Serie A standings, but first though, let's check out the top of another table, this one covered as it is with the week's papers. A whole bundle of stories for us to get through once again this week, so let's start off straight away with perhaps the Corriere dello Sport from Wednesday the 12th of January, and the headline, Nakata, it's done. Confirmation of this major transfer story that we were talking about last week, with Perugia's Hidetoshi Nakata moving from that Umbrian club to AS Roma for £10 million, plus Roma's Russian midfielder Dmitry Alenichev, who's worth £5 million. Apparently, though, it wasn't so much the bread as the breadsticks which proved decisive, as according to observers, whilst wooing the Japanese star over dinner, Roma's coach Fabio Capello resorted to broken grissini to illustrate how Nakata and Roma's Francesco Totti could play together and not compete for the same place. Crumbs, what brilliantly inventive stuff, but all the same, Capello looks like having an interesting balancing act ahead as he tries to incorporate Roma's new rising sun. Anyway, while the Giallorossi get orientated, let's move on now to item 2, which is unfortunately the news that Gigi Simoni has now been fired as manager of Piacenza, the decision taken by the club after their 3-0 defeat by Cagliari last weekend. I'm sad, but I'm not surprised, says Simoni, who after all has been fired by his last 3 clubs, most recently by Inter. This season, certainly, things could hardly have gone worse for the 61-year-old veteran. Unpopular from the start due to his past work at local rivals Cremonese, in November then, Simoni tragically lost his son Adriano, who died following a motorbike accident. Even in the saddest moments, commented the coach this week, the club never understood me. In 4 months here, I've received more insults than in the last 10 years of my career. Wow. Well, Simoni's deputy now takes up the reins at Piacenza, who lie second last right now in Serie A. The only bright spot, perhaps, being for them that tomorrow they must face Torino, a side who've lost their last 6 matches in Serie A, which is a club record. Well, moving along now, meanwhile, our next item is once again coaching news with, excitingly enough, word of the legendary Zdenek Zeman, he of the steely stares and the 50-a-day fag habit. Now, back in early October of last year, Zeman, having run out of clubs in Rome to get fired by, made a dramatic move to Turkey, where he joined Fenerbahce on the banks of the Bosphorus. Sadly, though, it turns out he wasn't the boss for them. In 3 months in charge, indeed, he won just 3 matches and managed to fall out with the club's top star, Sergen, who promptly left Fenerbahce for their arch-rivals Galatasaray. A wise move, as Zeman's team have dropped to 14 points below Galatasaray in the league. In the Turkish Cup, they've been knocked out by a 3rd division side, and the enraged fans have taken to beating up the players, landing the captain in hospital, indeed, with a broken nose. All in all, things could have gone better. Well, having thus taken a Turkish bath, Zeman this week threw in the towel, resigning. I've failed, he admits, but the press were always against me, and the players never tried. Perhaps they thought I had a magic wand. Perhaps. Well, Zeman, anyway, for his next trick, we read, plans to reappear in Italy, which is exciting news for Serie A. Well, should he return, what will he find waiting for him but yet another refereeing scandal, as we move now on to item 4, which is Christmas gifts to the referees. Now, mad as it may sound, this festive season, top club Roma decided it would be a good idea to make friends with the match officials by sending all 37 of them a Rolex at a cost of around £1,400 each. What, you may ask, of the referee's 2-man governing body? Well, don't worry, they got gold Rolexes worth £8,000. And astonishingly, the Italian FA didn't know anything about any of this until the Gazzetta dello Sport rather helpfully broke the news last Sunday, sparking a week of scandal. Now, whilst Roma, in fairness, made some very generous charitable donations over Christmas too, it's fair to say that this gesture was at best vulgar and at worst criminal, and with UEFA now anxiously demanding a report, the unfortunate referees have been told to hand back their timepieces. As for the management committee, well, after eventually offering their resignation, they've got away with what you might call a ticking off. Don't do it a second time. Our last word anyway on the subject comes from Cagliari's controversial boss Cellino, who comments, I'd have given them all glasses. Anyway, well, with time hardly on our side this morning, let's move on now to our final story of the day, which comes from last Sunday night's Milan-Roma matchup, a game that, as it turns out, was watched by a very special fan, Nicolas Cage. Yes, as La Repubblica gushed the very next morning, Cage brought a touch of Hollywood to the San Siro VIP box last night. Constantly surrounded by 4 bodyguards, no one could approach him, but it was clear the actor had a great time. Indeed he did. Only thing is, it wasn't Cage at all, but a cunning Roma fan called Paolo Calabresi. The 4 bodyguards were his mates who'd come to see the game as well. Well, a few days later, Calabresi revealed all to the papers. He'd sent a fax to Milan posing as Cage, asking for VIP passes, after which he quite simply, armed with shades and stubble, turned up at the game. The only man allowed to greet him being Milan's starstruck vice president Galliani, who invited the happy fan out to lunch with Berlusconi and then took him down to meet the players, who presented him with Jose Mari's debut Milan jersey. That's what I call Con Air. Well done thus to the counterfeit Cage. Turns out, though, that Milan aren't the only club to have missed out on this double. Earlier on in the season, Calabresi says he attended the Rome derby as Matt Damon. That must have taken more than a pair of sunglasses. Well, next week we'll be testing exactly how slow-witted stadium staff in Italy are by sending Karin Giannone along as Whoopi Goldberg. For now, though, that's where we'll leave the papers, as having reached the tail end of the show in a very real sense, we rejoin Kenneth Wolstenheim now with all the week's standings and fixtures.
That thrashing of Perugia lifted Udinese up to 8th. Bari and Fiorentina also climbed 1 place. But the only other change was at the very top, where Lazio overtook Juventus. It was a good week for Cagliari. Not only did they beat Roma in the Coppa Italia, but they finally managed to win a game in Serie A. But they're still bottom. Tomorrow afternoon, leaders Lazio face a potentially tricky game at Regina, and 3rd place Parma also face a long trip south as they visit Lecce. Meanwhile, after losing top spot last week, Juventus entertain Perugia, a game you can see live on Channel 4.
Thank you, Kenneth. Well, last week we got just half an hour of Juventus, but tomorrow it is our first full live look at Juve of the season as Del Piero, Zidane and co continue their Scudetto quest against this Perugia side that's conceded 37 goals in their last 2 games. All right, it's actually just 10 goals. But anyway, an entertaining match certainly looks to be in prospect, so make sure you join us then at 1:45 here on 4 tomorrow afternoon for Football Italia Live. Meantime, that wraps it up for this morning's Gazzetta. So from all of us here, it's a very large and heartfelt arrivederci. Thus find them in the running again this year.
Now, back at the start of this season, Juventus were still the ugly ducklings of this year's Scudetto flock. Unlike their rivals like Lazio, Inter and Milan, they'd brought in no new big-name international stars. Their coach, Carlo Ancelotti, still had much to prove after his stultifying stint at Parma, and with early problems in both the league and, gasp, even the Intertoto Cup, all look set for a much humbler year all round for La Signora. But not a bit of it.
Del Piero, Juventus sweeping forward again now. Inzaghi darting through, and Inzaghi with a terrific finish. Antonioli looking composed in that Roma goal. But he's been beaten by Zidane. Fantastic goal. Zinedine Zidane. This one turned back towards Del Piero, who takes on Laurent Blanc. What a super ball, Inzaghi! 1-0 to Juve, and it's 4 goals in as many Serie A games for Inzaghi.
Since September, Juventus have been quietly amassing some very convincing title credentials. They've lost just twice in 29 official matches and just once in the league. Their defence, the best in Italy, has conceded just 7 goals in 15 league fixtures. And they're now piling up points at the same rate as 2 years ago, when they won their 25th Scudetto. True, they are still waiting for Del Piero to make a consistent return to form. He hasn't scored from open play, viewers, since October 1998. But with Pippo Inzaghi continuing to defy the critics and hammer home the goals, that hasn't stopped them topping the table once more.
Finora la stagione è andata molto bene, forse meglio anche del previsto.
Sì, per adesso stiamo andando molto bene, però è ancora lunga e ci sono tante squadre forti, per cui speriamo di riuscire ad essere davanti quando, a maggio, quando sarà la fine del campionato.
27 gol in 99, 26 in 98. Come riesci a segnare sempre così tanto?
Ma niente, per fortuna è molto importante, penso, per un attaccante, soprattutto che gioca nella Juventus, quello di dover fare tanti gol. Per fortuna in questi anni ci sono riuscito. Quest'anno mi stanno andando abbastanza bene le cose, spero di continuare così. Comunque di segreti non ce ne sono quelli di allenarsi seriamente tutti i giorni e di pensare sempre positivo.
Well, plenty of positive thoughts will be required tomorrow at Parma. As we saw earlier on, in Juve's last away fixture in Florence, they barely scraped home with a point. And this Parma side they face tomorrow is a team on the hottest streak in Serie A, unbeaten in their last 11 games. Not only do they have Hernan Crespo, Italy's leading scorer, but they've also now seen a return to action from Marcio Amoroso, their big summer signing, and it's worth remembering just what he's capable of.
Amoruso. Oh, that's brilliant. That really is brilliant, because he's won the game for Udinese.
Thus, Parma's championship case looks set to grow more convincing every week, unless, of course, Juve can put a large dent in it tomorrow afternoon at the Tardini Stadium.
È una partita difficilissima, però bella, esaltante per qualsiasi giocatore vorrebbe giocare, e speriamo di vincere perché per noi è importante.
Well, the bleeding obvious stated nicely there for us by Pippo. Certainly, anyway, this clash of two of Italy's most serious title contenders could have quite major consequences for the Scudetto race, so it's a good thing that you'll be able to catch the drama from Parma right here tomorrow afternoon on 4. Sadly not live, because after our long absence, we'll be breaking you in gently instead with a highlight show at 4 p.m. Hopefully, though, you'll join us for that. Anyway, in the meantime, that wraps it up for this morning's show. So from all of us here, once again, it is buon anno.